In the previous episode of this series, I briefly examined Come Fly With Me, a quest about getting some rockets ready so Bright Brotherhood members can travel to their mysterious far beyond. The quest is full of remarkable events that are interconnected and conflicts of interest that you have to deal with if you want to find Benny, the man who tried to kill you at the beginning of the game. I talked about the different outcomes of the player's actions, and about the things that you can do in order to complete the quest. Well, those conflicts of interest are unimportant compared to the ones in the quest that I'll show you today. But just like last time, let's see how Warren is doing at this point in the game. This one is not that popular among New Vegas fans. Return to Sender. It can be a bit tedious and it's a bit linear, but bear with me. You arrive at Camp Fallen Hope, a frontline station of the NCR. There are soldiers everywhere and they keep guard at all times, wary of Caesar's warriors coming from the east.
No time to talk. I have to keep watch for Legion raiding parties.
To say that keeping this place well maintained is vital to the NCR is an understatement. But the station is in dire straits. Shortage of supplies, meds being stolen, a ranger with psychological trauma. Things do not look good. Everyone needs help here. This young lady, Tech Sergeant Reyes, is in charge of communicating with other stations. She also has a problem to deal with. And of course, she needs help. Let's hear it straight from the horse's mouth.
I have the delightful task of tabulating stockpiles, kill ratios, mission success rates, radiation deaths, and other truly fascinating numbers. I've come across numerous inconsistencies between our numbers and our reports, especially with regards to intercepting hostiles. I'm wondering if our radio security codes have been compromised. I need someone to deliver security code upgrades to each of the ranger stations.
There you go. There's no need to explain the initial objectives of the quest. It's quite straightforward, really. You talk to all the communications officers. Ranger Station Alpha.
Oh, right. She radioed ahead and mentioned that somebody was coming by. Odd that she'd send a civilian instead of a trooper, though.
Ranger Station Bravo.
No problem. Hey, do me a favor when you get back to Reyes and tell her that we don't need any more damn ammo. Wouldn't mind more water, though.
Ranger Station Delta.
Very well. You can tell Reyes that this station is secure.
Ranger Station Echo.
What, again? Didn't I just change those damn things? Alright, fine. Show me the new codes.
And finally, Ranger Station Foxtrot.
Oh, well, yeah. I can do that. Thanks.
Those are all the stations that you have to visit at first. The conclusion is, there's obviously a communication issue going on. You go back to Reyes and tell her that everyone has got their new codes.
I'll switch over all radio broadcasts to the new encrypted channels. This ought to help us stay a step ahead of any spies. Before you go, I've got another job available. We've received some disturbing reports from some of the ranger stations. Heavy casualties at Alpha, super mutant legionaries at Delta. The weirdest one has to be the Great Khans and their trained death claws at Foxtrot. These reports can't be accurate, can they?
So you have to return to some of those stations. The first visits make it harder for you to travel since it's possible that you haven't discovered all of them. Some of them are quite isolated. The ways to get to them can be dangerous. The second visits are much simpler. The comm officer at Ranger Station Bravo already gave you a clue about the problem.
You think I haven't tried? Every time I do, Camp Golf acknowledges the situation. And soon after that, more ammo. We're not gonna die of thirst anytime soon, but I'd rather have too much than not enough.
First you had to talk to comm officers, and now you have to talk to the rangers of the stations, telling them about the supposed reports that they have sent.
High casualties? We've had one broken ankle, but nobody at this post has died. There are other ranger posts around. Reyes might have mixed up the report. Any injury, illness, or death gets radioed to Ranger HQ at Camp Golf. Chief Hanlon and his aides compile the reports and assign reinforcements as needed. And they're not needed here.
Yeah? No, I didn't. You might hear that kind of nonsense from a drunk trooper on the strip, but not from me. The Legion doesn't have super mutants. That patrol was wiped out by its own incompetence. A couple of the troopers were fooling around with a grenade when it went off.
You must be mistaken. I haven't filed any report like that. Trained death claws? I would have remembered that. If someone is saying I filed that report, that's a load of crap. I won't have my name attached to a clerical error.
Yeah, those reports are all false. You return to Reyes once more. All the strange reports lead her to believe that Chief Hanlon, the head of the NCR Rangers who's responsible for evaluating the radio transmissions at Camp Golf, is behind all the misinformation. He even admits it.
Misdirection's what saved me all these years. It's what saved us at Hoover Dam. But it's been 5 years now and Caesar's right across that lake.
Nowhere in the Mojave will you find a more disillusioned man. This jaded ranger has reasons to feel this way. He fought against the Legion and survived. He led soldiers against the bastards and saw countless lives lost in such a ruthless war.
It's never gonna end. This fight with Caesar. People back home don't know what these young men and women are in for. The Legion is the worst enemy we've ever faced. But we can't stop Caesar here. Not without getting a lot of good people killed.
He saw young soldiers with no training fall in battle, and he doesn't want the pattern to repeat itself. At the very least, he no longer wants to be responsible for it. Dialogue is key here. There's no combat, no lockpicking or sneaking. Hanlon is quite fond of talking, so you've got to indulge him a bit in order to get what you want.
Back west, you don't see too many of these. Lakes, I mean. The Mojave has a way of burning decent people up, but he always wants you to know when more troops are at your front door. The General and I don't always see eye to eye on things. Well, there's what we're supposed to be doing and what we're actually doing.
And he's very honest about it. You're free to turn him in, or you can pretend that it was a small confusion and Reyes will be none the wiser. If you choose to turn him in, he'll accept it and lock the door to his office as soon as you leave, sending a final message to his fellow Rangers.
Send me all the Legion you can. I'll be waiting for it.
That shot came from the chief's office.
A tragic end. It all comes down to how much you sympathize with his concerns, how much you're willing to forget about such a problem and move on. You'll complete the quest after either turning him in or promising to keep the issue a secret. You may go back to Reyes and let her know about what happened.
I knew it. I'm glad you and the Chief were able to put a stop to this. What? Chief Hanlon? The man's a war hero. Why would he... That just doesn't make sense. This is awful.
And thus, Return to Sender comes to an end. Okay, it may not have the incredible variety of choices and outcomes that Beyond the Beef or the main quests do. This is not that kind of quest, but it requires you to reach some isolated areas of the game world in order to find the ranger stations. Obsidian used this kind of quest design a lot in New Vegas, by the way. Quests such as Wildcard Side Bets, Bleed Me Dry, Classic Inspiration, and Still in the Dark also encourage the player to explore the Mojave and discover its many landmarks and mysteries. You can get new side quests and unmarked quests, or meet new characters. Take Com Officer Lenk, for example. When you approach her for the first time, she lets this slip.
You're here for the money. I told the Emeritus I was good for it. I just need more time. I talked to the cashier at Gamora into forwarding me some chips. I was convinced I was due for a hot streak. It didn't go so well. The Emeritus were nice and said they'd give me some time to pay them back.
That's a curious little story that you come across while doing this side quest. However, Return to Sender stands out because it shows you how the NCR is slowly crumbling from the inside, buried beneath impersonal militarism and bureaucracy. Hanlon is a survivor of the NCR's past, a past that he wants to forget. If you side with the NCR and manage to get to the final main quest, this is a side quest that reveals some of the issues of that faction and makes you understand what's wrong with its structure. After playing it, you will have a better picture of what this huge federation stands for, so you can make a more informed choice when the time comes to side with a faction. And since factions are fundamental to understanding the subtleties of morality in New Vegas, Return to Sender plays an important narrative role. Agreeing or disagreeing with Hanlon may have little impact on the major events of the game, but it can say a lot about the character that you've created.